Yes, I know. Look, I still haven't talked about your favorite team. I understand. You're probably mad. But the reality is, when it comes to this draft stuff, I say it every single video, but I feel like I need to say it for anyone watching that hasn't watched the videos previously. I am not an expert. I'm not coming on here to claim I'm a draft expert. So when I make these videos on the draft, I kind of have to pick and choose. If a team drafts like 7 players, say the Houston Rockets, it's kind of hard for me to make a video on that because I don't know about all those 7 prospects. So I'm looking at teams where I know the needs of the team really well, say the Detroit Pistons, or say another team like the Atlanta Hawks, and I know a couple of those prospects. Or I'm looking at a team like the New Orleans Pelicans, who I watched a ton of. I know what they needed, and I can kind of assess what they got based off what I read, based off what I see. That's kind of what it comes down to. So apologies if I still haven't got around to talking about your team, but I don't want to come on here and just come out here and act like I know about something that I don't. I talk about things where I know little about. That's YouTube. That's what it's all about. But to know nothing about things, that's not what we're going to do. We're not going to talk about that. So let's talk about the Pelicans, because that's a team that I've been interested in all year. If you're a Pelicans fan, drop a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel. That would be much appreciated, because I make content like this about the Pelicans very regularly. Well, not draft content, but just content in general about the Pelicans very regularly. Probably more regularly than any other person you know. And, well, they don't actually do too well, but I'm a huge fan of Zion Williamson, so I just continue to make these videos. So if you could just show some support to it, it would be much appreciated. It'd just help out. So that would be cool. But as I was saying, what do we need? The Pelicans. Let's get into it. Let's just talk about the Pelicans, because this is a team that we've had our fair share of ups and downs, me and David Griffin. Well, I'll say it. I didn't like the Stan Van Gundy hiring. I didn't like a few of the things he did. We're not going to get into it, but I haven't been the biggest fan of David Griffin. I might have called him a fraud once, twice, 3 times, 10 times, a few times. Might have done that. I might have done that. But David Griffin, you're redeeming yourself, and this draft is going a long way alongside the Jonas Valanciunas trade, alongside hopefully maybe a Kyle Lowry signing or whoever else you bring in free agency that could help Zion Williamson get to the playoffs like he should be. But let's talk about what they needed. This was a team that, for most of the season, the early part of the season, they weren't great offensively, but from about the first month onwards, they were a really good offensive team. They were a top 10 offensive team. At times, they were the best offense in the league, I think, for a month straight. So they had offensive potency because of Zion. It was all because of Zion and Brandon Ingram. Lonzo did well as well. But they had offensive potency. Defensively, they were lacking. They also lacked shooting. JJ Redick decided that he wanted to start a podcast and neglect shooting, neglect doing anything productive for the Pelicans organization, and then kick the door in their face on the way out, and then spit on their fans, which, there you go, JJ Redick did that. It's a good podcast, but yeah, that was a little disrespectful, unfortunately, for Pelicans fans, so I apologize for that, even though I've got nothing to apologize for. What am I saying? Let's just keep moving. JJ Redick couldn't shoot. Nico Melli couldn't shoot. No one could shoot. That's the reality. No one could shoot. So what do you need? You need some shooters. Trey Murphy. Let's just get into it. Let's talk about the draft picks they had, because they had 2. They traded down. And when they had the 10th pick, I was still thinking they needed to get a shooter. I thought they might have reached on someone like, say, a Murphy or, say, a Kispert, someone who probably is more of a mid-teen prospect based off where they went, but they might have had to reach just because that was the fit that they needed, and they need to base their picks off fit right now, because going for a 19-year-old who might have more talent just isn't the way right now for the Pelicans. They need to win now. We know that. They're under pressure to win now with Zion Williamson, with everything. They're just under pressure to win now. And getting a 21-year-old Trey Murphy who comes from a great organization in Virginia, who have had guys who have been ready-made prospects. You think of DeAndre Hunter just off the top of my head, Malcolm Brogdon. Those guys came in. They were good defensively. They were smart on both ends of the floor. They knew how to make shots. They knew how to make decisions. Trey Murphy looks like he's going to be the same kind of prospect. 6'9", 7-foot wingspan. He can guard a couple of different positions. He's good defensively. He's switched on. As I said, he's intelligent defensively. Team defense is a huge thing. The Pelicans just weren't good at that. They were not good at that. Brandon Ingram and Zion need to be better, and I hope they will be better. I expect them to be better. But it also came with other guys. Everyone needs to be better, and hopefully Trey Murphy can bring some of that, what he brought from Virginia, over to the Pelicans and be good defensively. And then the biggest thing he does is, this is someone who shot 40% from 3, not once, not twice, but 3 times in a row in college. 43% most recently, shot 93% from the line. So if there's any doubt about this man not really being able to translate that shooting, it's hard to imagine it doesn't. When you have a 7-foot wingspan, so it's not like it's going to be too hard for him to get those shots off over people. And he's a catch and shoot guy. He's not someone who's coming off the dribble and taking a ton of pull-up threes or a ton of pull-up jumpers. But you don't need him to be that. You do not need that. So what other people are looking for, and that's probably the reason they pass him up in the 10 to 12 range, because he does have all of the things you would want in a top prospect with his defense, his length, his shooting, his experience, his intelligence. Those are the things you want. He lacks, say, some perimeter creation. You don't need that. You need to surround him with Zion Williamson, Brandon Ingram, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, maybe a guy like Kemba Walker, Kyle Lowry. That is more than enough creation with those guys for him to just be a spot-up shooter and then do his thing on defense. That is all you need from Trey Murphy, and hopefully he brings that. I expect him to bring it. And another thing is, he won't be starting, I don't imagine. I don't imagine he'll be starting unless he starts at the 2, which would be interesting, and Nickeil Alexander-Walker comes off the bench. We'll have to wait and see. But I don't expect him to start. But Zion spent a lot of his time with the second unit, about 50-50 split, because if he wasn't out there, they were looking like an AAU team. Let's be honest. Let's just keep it straight. They were looking like an AAU team if he wasn't out there and he was carrying them. So he needs some guys in the second unit that are going to be ready to go out there and to make some shots and to make some decisions and just help him out, so he's not just forced to carry a bunch of, high schoolers like he was doing last year. So bringing in Trey Murphy, who hopefully can build a chemistry with Kyra Lewis, who I'm excited to see what he can do. He took some leaps towards the end of the season. I think he's going to improve Jackson Hayes. What's that situation going on? No, I'm not even going to get into that, but I was excited to see him. I thought he was going to make a leap. Actually made a video including him about making a leap, but there you go. But anyways, there's still some other guys that can help, and Trey Murphy is that guy, which is why I'm so happy with that pick at 17. He's someone who would have made sense at 10, and to get him at 17 alongside Valanciunas, who's going to space the floor. I've talked about that. If you want to see the video on that, you can check it out. I've talked about that. I'm not talking about that again, but perfect. That's the perfect pick. David Griffin, one from one so far. Can you go for 2 from 2? Yeah, you can, because Herb Jones, another area of need defensively. As I said, Herb Jones is the defensive guy. Most people say he's one of the best defenders in the class. Another mature guy. This is someone who's going to be 23 in a couple of months. Oh, scary. He doesn't have any upside then. Do I care? When you have someone who's about to be a superstar, Brandon Ingram, who is about a star, and you're hopefully bringing in another star level player, or at least thereabouts, you need role players. That's what you need. Those are the things you need. You need role players, and you need guys who can defend. Herb Jones ticks those boxes too. Perfect. He just ticks the boxes. He can defend multiple positions. He's quick enough to stay in touch with guards. He averaged over 1.5 steals a game and over 1 block a game. So to have rim protection as someone who can also defend out on the perimeter, lovely. I just love it. I love it. So quick enough to stay in front of guards, strong enough to go back and forth with wings. This is the kind of guy you need. He shot 35% from 3. He did improve his shot, but we still need to see it. I'm not convinced that he's going to be a good shooter, and that is where the pick could fall through. If he does happen to not be a great shooter, well, when you've got Zion, Valanciunas will stretch the floor, but all of these guys, you don't have a ton of great shooters on this team right now, which is why I love the Murphy pick, as I just mentioned. You don't have a ton of great shooters, so you need Jones to at least just keep defenses honest. Just shoot 32%. You don't have to be lights out by any means. Don't be lights out. Just keep them honest. Hit a 3 or 2 a game and just play great defense. Bring those intangibles that the Pelicans desperately need. They need those intangibles. They need someone who's going to hustle. I know it sounds kind of cliche, but they genuinely need that because they just didn't have enough of it. There were nights where they just weren't switched on. This is a team that blew a ton of leads. This is a team that gave up so many easy buckets. This is a team that just wasn't all there last year. They could have made the playoffs easily. They could have easily done it, and they should do it this year. But they need those guys who are going to go out there and do the dirty stuff. And Herb Jones seems like he's going to be one of those guys. He's also got a relationship with Kyra Lewis. Bench relationships are important. So to have Kyra Lewis, your backup point guard, have some faith with someone else and have a relationship with someone else on the team is just big. Those are some things that you don't really talk about or you don't really mention until you see it and you see it developing, like a Lou Williams, Montrezl Harrell, those kind of things. And it's important to have those kind of relationships. The Pelicans are just hopefully becoming a more well-rounded team instead of just give the ball to Zion and hope he just outscores the other team and we're not going to get any stops. Give the ball to Zion and BI and just hope they outscore the other team, because that's not really the way to win games. That'll get you to, 30 and 40. That's where it's going to get you. But to get to 50 and 30, that's where you need these guys to step in. That's where you need the team to step up. David Griffin to step up. My friend, shake the hand, David Griffin. Yep, there you go. Okay? No more calling you a fraud until you go back to your fraudulent behavior. If you do, maybe you're a changed man. Maybe you're a change man. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe I was too harsh. Maybe hiring the egghead that is Stan Van Gundy was that was unlucky. Maybe that was, whatever. We're not getting into that right now. David Griffin, I'm owning up to it. You have been great. You have been great so far, so I am happy for you to do that because I want Zion Williamson to get the help he needs. B.I., all of those guys. I want this team to be successful. I like New Orleans, and that's kind of all I need to say. These are the kind of builds, the molds that I wanted in New Orleans, and they've got them. Guys who are mature, ready to go, ready to make shots, ready to play defense. Say any more. I'm excited to see the Pelicans this season even more than I was heading into the season with the moves Griffin's making. What's he got for us in free agency? Because free agency is just on the door. And, well, I'm going to be making videos on that. So stay tuned. Have a good day. Bye.